this computer. Recording in progress. Hare Krishna. All right, so welcome again, everyone. Hare Krishna. As far as my bookmark shows, we're on page 406. So that's just 2 pages into chapter 22. So those of you who have the book, you can welcome to read. We're just having a quick look at what we'll be covering today. Interesting. We're going to be covering the subject of attentiveness, which happens to be elaborately spoken about in chapter 25. This is chapter 22. Where Maharaj speaks about this very important subject matter of being attentive. And I just happen to be presently, I'm putting this chapter, there's about 4 chapters on the subject of attentive bhajan, being attentive, and the dangers of being inattentive. It's very, very interesting. And I'm just putting that into like a type of seminar with slides type presentation. So let's see, when we get to chapter 25, we might just present that. Okay. Well, let's see how we go. Hare Krishna. So welcome again, everyone, if you just joined us. Hare Krishna. So we have a hand up, a yellow hand by Mother Sahachari. She can begin this evening.
Thank you.
And let's see where we're going to go.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Yet knowledge and understanding of any stage of devotion are only accessible to a practitioner when he is determined to progress to that stage. And that knowledge comes from Krishna, who, as the indwelling Guru, teaches a practitioner either directly from within his heart or indirectly from the hearts of his Gurus. However, knowledge is received, it is administered according to the recipient's eligibility, and one aspect of eligibility is the willingness to move forward on the path of devotion. To make a sankalpa, the Lord describes this progressive reciprocation between determination and knowledge in this way. Gradually, step by step, one should become situated in trance by means of intelligence, sustained by full conviction, and thus the mind should be fixed on the self alone and should think of nothing else.
Yeah, actually, it's okay. We did read that last time, but so anyway, just carry on. And this is where we left off now, where you're beginning now. Okay.
Yeah. We have briefly shown the power of Sankalpa in occasioning transcendental knowledge. Our next topic is attentiveness. As a sincere devotee climbs the ladder of pure devotional service, the determination fueling his ascent from rung to rung brings ever new rewards. Knowing this through personal experience, a devotee becomes inspired to ever heightened levels of attentiveness. This is but one way in which Sankalpa gives rise to absorption in Bhakti Bhajana. Furthermore, as a sadhaka seeks such higher states of advancement, he does so with the knowledge that success is progressive bhakti, demands increased attentiveness in practice. This is another way in which Sankalpa gives rise to mindfulness. When Advaita Acharya descended to the world and saw people's miserable condition, he resolved that he would invoke the appearance of Sri Krishna. With this thought in mind, he began to carefully worship a Saligrama deity with tulsi leaves and Ganges water, all the while observing a strict fast. In his commentary to Chaitanya Bhagavata, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes that Advaita's vow resulted in service with a determined and unwavering heart. And when the Lord appeared before his devotee, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said to Advaita, I have descended to fulfill your vow, for you have profusely worshipped me. This is an example of how Sankalpa inspires one to be especially attentive in sadhana. Additional Srimad Bhagavatam declares that a devotee must embrace an ever-enhanced attentiveness with each successive vow he takes. The personality of Godhead, who appears in the mind of the devotee by attentive devotion and meditation and by chanting of the holy name, releases the devotee from the bondage of fruitive activities at the time of his quitting the material body. We have shown how determination fuels attentiveness. By contrast, it is well known that in the absence of strong determination, a devotee will struggle with attention during Nam Sankirtana and Gayatri meditations, among other services. One result of inattention is that seed of new anarthas are sown within the heart. Thakur Bhaktivinoda describes three kinds of inattentiveness: apathy, laziness, and distraction. Apathy means a lack of determination, which, like the other kinds of inattentiveness, can be eradicated by the association of advanced devotees, determined devotees. And inattentiveness is the breeding ground for all kinds of offenses, which then sap a devotee's bhakti. Lord Kapila explains that the Lord gives attentiveness to devotees when he sees their sincere effort for the same. No one is dear to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, nor is anyone his enemy or friend, but he gives inspiration to those who have not forgotten him and destroys those who have. In the above verse, the words attention and care are both synonyms for apramatta, which is a negation of pramatta. And pramatta means deluded, bewildered, and maddened by desire. The implication is that those who are not attentive will slide down the bhakti ladder. For this reason, a practitioner must make sincere efforts to rise to perfection and invoke the blessings of the Lord in the form of renewed attentiveness, which then protect the sadhaka from material desires and worse yet, for offenses to Krishna's names. In this section, we have shown with both positive and negative reasoning that Sankalpa and attentiveness are intrinsically linked, the former result in the latter. As with attentiveness in Nam Sankirtana, a devotee knows that spiritual advancement requires carefully following both guidelines and prohibitions of sadhana. He knows that neglecting the rules of devotion will undermine desired results. The proclamation of Sankalpa mantras, for example, has this very purpose at heart, as illustrated by the following vow, a part of the Karitaka Vrata. O Lord Damodara, O Lord who rescues the devotees from sufferings, O Master of the demigods, to please you and Goddess Radha, I shall bathe every morning during the month of Kartik. Similarly, at the time of initiation, a devotee vows to follow the four regulative principles and to chant the 16 rounds of the Mahamantra, such as Sankalpa is not a one-off event because attention to following the principles and Nam Sankirtana requires successively higher grades of determination. For example, the vow to chant 16 rounds is a vow to chant 16 rounds minimum without offense. When a devotee decides to increase the number of rounds he chants, either provisionally or permanently, he makes a vow or vows to do so. Additionally, as a devotee attempts to raise the quality of his chanting, he precedes the same with a corresponding sankalpa. In other words, the very act of determination has as its purpose the means as much as the attainment. Thus, since every successive attainment is a heightened attainment, it always requires a heightened sadhana. This principle is in accord with the rule swasadhana swasadhanurupam hi phalam sarvatra siddhyati. In all spheres of activity, the results one achieves match the discipline one has practiced. Thus, determination is also a pillar of ever refined practice. Upon making a sankalpa, a devotee is always eager for success. Determination is like the straight point of a race which all participants are eager to win. That eagerness or enthusiasm is integral to progressing on the path of devotion and to reaching its end. Rupa Goswami ascertains this enthusiasm, ustaha, to be one kind of the six ingredients required to bring bhakti to completion. Bhakti prasidhyati. The example of Gopkumara's vows to go spiritually higher and higher is evidence that determination inspires one for progressively superior attainments. By taking a vow to embrace the next stage of spiritual development, a sincere devotee achieves his goal, which only goes to increase further his eagerness for the next stage of Krishna consciousness and the sankalpa that stage entails. This dynamic is expressed in Naradiya Purana in this way. Those who are eager to awaken their spiritual consciousness and who thus have unflinching, undeviated intelligence certainly attain the desired goal of life very soon. Thus, we see that Sankalpa is Sankalpa inspires devotees to spiritual advancement.
Okay, thank you,
A
Mother.
corollary of this,
Just if we just pause there, I thought I'd just take that a couple of pages, just to get to the next 4 asterisks. Are there any particular comments or questions on this? Marge brings up about the connection between determination, which is manifesting as being attentive, and just in studying the again chapter 25 that I mentioned, it's actually described there that actually one's advancement, one of the ways of judging one's advancement is to the degree that they are attentive to the activities of bhakti. And also, in order to be successful, as Maharaj is quoting different verses, that to be successful, we have to endeavor to be attentive. Yeah, I'm sure we all got different realizations on this when we sit down to chant our japa. How attentive are we? How attentive can we be? Now, you'll notice that if we're determined, if we have a determined effort or determined desire, then we can choose to be attentive. But how determined might we be to actually be attentive? Yeah. And that's why interesting, Maharaj is quoting different verse like this verse we just read. Spiritual success is based upon unflinching and undeviated focus, say on one's bhajan, on one's chanting, or one's particular service. So again, kind of, because I've just been studying today, chapter 25, it describes in detail the different skills, the different levels, the different types and different steps of being attentive. Now, the highest platform of being attentive is samadhi. That's the highest attainment of being attentive, samadhi. And there's different stages that come before that. It's also mentioned that at the stage of ruchi or shakti, one is naturally attentive because that's what they're attracted to. But before that stage, it's up to the sadhaka to practice being attentive. Yeah? So, for instance, when we chant japa, we should make sure there's no distractions. Yeah? And I think we could say, isn't it, that probably due to, you could say, due to the internet, etc., and due to, what do you call it, modern technology, phones, etc., then we're quite conditioned to be inattentive. You know,
I find that
yeah,
I have
please.
to force myself. I force myself with determination, and I'm patient with myself as well.
Yeah, that's good.
You know, like
So you,
when I'm chanting, to begin, I force myself, and then it becomes easier. So I guess that's the determination. And also I'm patient that, like I'm giving myself time as well.
yeah, very good. You more or less, you just summarized what I was just been explaining. So Radha Kurumai is very nicely explained. That is when she sits down to chant, she actually wants to be attentive. So she's determined to be attentive. You know, so in that way, eventually, but also a good point you mentioned, Mother, as well, Kurumai, is that we shouldn't be feverish. We should be patient. You know, the mind is like an unruly child, and you may not bring it to bear instantly. You have to coax it, so to speak. Yeah, coax it. I mean, normally for myself, and other devotees speak of this as well, normally the first 4 rounds, at least for me, are kind of out there somewhere. Only 5 or 6, and as going on, I start to things start to slow down, and some type of meditation is sometimes there by the grace of the holy name. Yeah. But there's
I'm
words
so
that
glad I'm not alone.
no, you're not alone. Marge used the words, or did he use, yeah, apathetic. So this is from Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He speaks like this. He describes these three enemy, or these three causes of being inattentive. It's also considered to be an offense to be inattentive while chanting the holy name. So he describes it, apathy. Someone could just explain what apathy means? One is apathetic. It was going through the
Indifferent,
dictionaries.
Prabhu, Hare Krishna, indifferent. Apathy
Yeah.
is indifference.
Yeah. Any other words to describe it? Indifferent. Could say you don't care. Yeah, you're just indifferent. You just don't care. One is apathetic.
Yeah, you don't
Lack of interest.
know,
Lack of
apathy
interest.
means
Sorry?
like whatever.
Nanda, let's go first.
Sorry.
Nanda Vallabhi first, and then Mother Lavangalatika. Yes, Nanda Vallabhi, Mother.
Says lack of interest, enthusiasm, or concern.
Yeah, you looked in dictionary here. So lack of interest, lack of concern. Sometimes teachers have this trouble when they're trying to teach the students. The students are apathetic. But we can't be like that for the holy name and expect to get the results.
Yes.
You know, Mother Lavangalatika, you were saying?
Yeah, it's whatever situation you're in, if you're apathetic to it, it means you don't really care whether you're there or not. So it's a really bad situation, because if you're in a situation and you don't really care about it either way, then you probably, something's going wrong.
Yeah. We could say, Dev, and when we elaborate more on the description, you can understand how it can be termed as offensive chanting. You know, one is apathetic. So we should endeavor to be, like Mother Kurumai, we should endeavor to be determined, not to be apathetic, to sit down. Yeah, I want to meditate upon Krishna for not just for 2 minutes, but I want to meditate on Krishna for 2 hours. Of course, we have to be patient, as Mother Ori has said as well. But we want to have that. But we should have that that determination. We should want to be attentive, you know, and we should not want to be inattentive. Yeah. So because the more we can concentrate on Krishna, then the more we can get purified. Yeah. And the more we get purified, then a deeper meditation on Krishna can be, because we cannot maintain meditation on Krishna even if we're determined, because our heart is impure. We will not be able to maintain a meditation upon the holy name because of impurities. But if we're really trying our best to be attentive to the sound vibration of the holy name, then that's going to purify the impurities in the heart, and that's going to endow us with a greater ability to meditate upon Krishna. So I think I've got a presentation on this as well. I used the word apathy and put it in a thesaurus, or thesaurus it's called, and it gives different words that describe it. Some will be described. And the other one he describes is laziness as well. So how does that relate to our bhajan or practice of Krishna consciousness? Let's just say, speaking about it in context to japa. That means, could be, for instance, laziness could mean that you're falling asleep, but you're not going to bother to stand up and chant. You're just going to sit there nodding off throughout the whole of your japa. You just can't be bothered. You're just lazy, you know. So we should be not lazy. So we shouldn't be apathetic. We shouldn't be lazy. We should be what's the opposite of lazy? You could say Opposite of lazy. You need to unmute.
Enthusiastic.
Yeah,
Enthusiastic.
enthusiastic. Utsahan, nishtayat hayat. Interesting, Rupa Goswami gives these three terms, yeah? Utsahan, nishtayat hayat. Yeah, patience and enthusiasm. So we should be enthusiastic when we sit down to chant. Now, it's quite, you could say it's a challenge, because how often do we have to be enthusiastic and non-apathetic in our chanting? Every day. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50 years. We should maintain, and especially if we're applying ourselves, then we're going to, we're going to be, Krishna's going to bless us. Yeah, Krishna sees our effort and he blesses us with some type of taste. Then it's, yeah, so we don't want to be lazy, and distraction as well. We should, we don't want to be distracted. Yeah. So we should chant in places where there's less distraction as possible. Let me just I'm just doing some muting there. Hare Krishna. All right.
I think when we chant in the morning,
Yeah.
you can correct all these things, but as you leave it till later on, then you tend to get lazy, not determine everything. Like you
Yeah.
wanna finish.
Yeah.
But in the morning, you just, you can.
Yeah, that's one of the great advantages of chanting early in the morning. Yeah. It's easier to concentrate. Yeah. As we all know, the different modes of nature, the different times in the day, etc. So I'm sure you're all doing that as much as possible. You're chanting your rounds in the morning. So that's gonna help. Yeah. So determination, manifesting as being attentive. Yeah. So attentiveness is how we can make quick advancement if we're paying attention. Yeah. I'm trying to do that as of late. One of my recent meditations during the morning program is to be attentive. I'm reapplying myself. So when we're singing samsara dhava naradida loka, I'm trying my best to meditate upon my spiritual master and or Srila Prabhupada. Yeah. And when we're chanting Tulsi prayer, I'm trying to bring the meaning of Tulsi to my mind, because I've been studying about being attentive. So I'm seeing it, I'm seeing it as very important. So I'm trying to, and also in Guru Puja, Shri Guru Chalana Padma, I'm endeavoring to be as attentive as I am when I'm chanting japa. The same type of effort, the same type of determination, that I want to be attentive to this. And Jaya Radha Madhav. Of course, I'm not always successful. I'm trying. Jaya Radha Madhava. Being attentive. And then to the Bhagavatam class. So like developing the habit of being attentive, and we have to work on it. So that's Margie's bringing it up as a Sankalpa. We should have that determination. Yeah, I think I mentioned before how I can never relate to devotees who chant the holy name when they're driving. They're driving, they've got bee bag in one hand, or they've got a clicker on their thumb and they're driving. That's like, in other words, that's training your mind to be inattentive. So in other words, you're chanting, but you're thinking of the traffic lights. Is it red? Is it green? You're thinking of the car on the left, the car on the right, this, that. There's so much going through your mind, but you're chanting over it, So what's going to happen when you sit down to chant japa? You're going to be completely distracted if you develop that, if you develop that, something else I was going to say, but I forgot. Yeah, so being attentive. Any other questions or comments on this? Yeah.
You know, they told us when
Yeah.
Tamal Krishna Maharaj left his body, at that time we were told not to chant in the car while driving. The other one was not to say your Gayatri when you're in a moving vehicle.
Okay. Yeah.
This is
You was
what they
told
had
by
told us.
who? So again, Tamal Krishnamurti told you that?
No. When he passed away, this was the instruction that was
From your Guru
given
Maharaj.
to us.
From your Guru Maharaj.
No, I don't know where it came from, but this is what we were all told at that time.
Okay, so those two things. One, to not chant again, not chant while you're driving. Was that right?
While you're driving, like
Yeah.
you said,
It's good
not to
advice.
chant then, and
Gayatri.
not to say your Gayatri mantra in a moving vehicle.
Yeah. So how are you doing with the second one?
You don't. You
You're
Do
doing
it
good.
at home.
Okay.
Be at home, or when you know, like when you're out.
Yeah.
When you come out, do it then.
Yeah. So I mean,
Yeah, but it has to be done at a certain time. Like there's the certain Sandhya time. And if you miss that time, then what is the point of your Gayatri?
well, yeah. Well, one thing is that the times that might be difficult is when you're on a plane traveling to India, you know, for example, then that might be difficult. You could ask the plane to stop for half an hour. So there is some circumstances where it might be unavoidable, but you're right. We should avoid it, you know. And Mother Lavanga's bringing up an interesting point. That's very much emphasized. You read the book on Gayatri by Sachinanda Swami, and no doubt there is benefit, and we should, as much as possible, try to be regulated in our chanting of the Gayatri mantra. Yeah, because chanting at the right time can only aid our meditation. But generally, we kind of live quite, you could say, quite passionate lifestyle compared to a classical village Vedic setting. So that might not always be possible. And Srila Prabhupada, interestingly, he was asked by one devotee who was specifically pressing Prabhupada to give a specific time for chanting the Gayatri. And Prabhupada said morning, noon, and evening. The devotee wasn't satisfied. So he tried again asking Prabhupada, no, Prabhupada, what actual time is it? And Prabhupada emphasized it again. He didn't give any more detail.
That was my Guru, Bhakti Maharaj.
Oh, really? And there you go. Yeah. That is Bhakti Maharaj, yeah?
Yeah.
Very interesting. So morning, noon, and evening. So sometimes you may be on that, you know. For myself, good or bad, that's normally my practice, morning, noon, and evening, except when I'm in the Holy Dham, and my it's a bit more, the situation is more advantageous for chanting during the sandhyas. But when I'm, you know, but I try to do it as much as possible. But, you know, anyway, any comments on that? These things.
What happens if you, I mean, people talk about not, when you don't chant your rounds, it's like very bad and all this, but there are some people who have Gayatri mantra and they don't bother chanting it, or they do it whenever they remember, or they don't do it at all, or is there any, I mean, is that offensive? Like
I would say
guru?
so. I would say so. The guru has given you a mantra.
Yeah.
And so that mantra means, if you get the mantra, there's a certain responsibility that comes with it. Again,
I
you
think
could say,
they're not doing deity worship, that it's not necessary or something.
I don't know where you heard that one, but it's not in any sastra.
No.
That's a complete speculation. You know, I mean, the mantras are there. Specifically, they're there to assist us in the worship of the deity. But no, that's incorrect. If you're not worshipping the deity, it doesn't mean you don't chant the Gayatri mantras. I mean, the Gayatri mantras in themselves can only aid our chanting of the Maha Mantra, and they've got quite deep meanings. You know, we did I think we've done a couple of times, isn't it? We've done the Gayatri mantra course
Yeah.
where we go over the meanings. So why not get all the help we can get by chanting it and being attentive to these Gayatri mantras? And actually, chanting Gayatri is often more of it requires more determination to be attentive, because they're more manasa, you know. So, but again, I mean, I've got, if anyone's interested, any those who have Gayatri, I mean, I did some classes on it with our boys in the temple, and I've got it on the YouTube thing there. If anyone wants a link to that, you can hear those 3 or 4 classes.
Because I was staying somewhere with devotees, and this Mataji got up at 3:30. She chanted her Gayatri before, like going for Mangalarti, and she said, "Oh, I'm going to forget about it later." But I mean, that's definitely the wrong approach, isn't it? Because you can't just chant it when it's conveniently, I mean, at 3:30 in the morning, it's like, that would be the wrong time, yeah?
Well, again, Prabhupada said morning, noon, and evening. So sometimes Bajaris, they find themselves in situations where they may have to do something like that. You know, but it shouldn't become like a habit, you know, but just circumstances, like there's a festival, or for instance, because the times, because the Sandhya, it, as we know, that it changes. So sometimes it might be during the middle of your dressing the deities, the actual Sandhya of 15-20 minutes lapses. You know, that's why we can take shelter where Prabhupada said morning, noon, and evening. So some pujaris will do that. I mean, I do that sometimes, because often for myself, sometimes I forget after I've been dressing the deities, I've been absorbed in dressing, then I'm putting the jewelry away, then this and that. And before I know it, I forgot to chant my morning Gayatri. So if I've got time, if I come in the morning and I've got a few minutes to spare, then sometimes I will chant my Gayatri before I start dressing, and it may not be on the Sandhya. But again, morning, noon, and evening. And also, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he says that preaching takes a higher precedent. So, and it's not an offense to not chant your Gayatri if you're engaged in preaching activities. You know, you might be doing a seminar, giving a class, and it's the Sandhya, and it's not considered to be.
Or even in a class, like if you're in a class, then the hearing is more important.
Yeah, that's especially Shrimad Bhagavatam. That's like Kirtan.
Yeah.
You're engaged in Sravanam Kirtanam. You know, so yeah, you don't want to be chanting Gayatri in the middle of class, because I know what it's like sometimes when you're given a class and some people chanting their rounds. So chanting Gayatri is quite a challenge if you're given a class.
Murli Prabhu, yes, I'm interested.
Yes.
If you could send the YouTube, please, for the
I will. I
Gayatri
can
music.
send it to you. Yeah, there's
Please,
4 or
thank you.
5 classes, and just an hour long each one. We just go over each mantra.
Thank you.
Also, yeah, no problem. Also, what would you do? So I'll ask a question here. If you're chanting Gayatri mantra and your Guru Maharaj comes in and you haven't seen him for some time, and he comes into the room and you're chanting your Gayatri mantra, and you're supposed to be attentive to that. Yeah, he's giving you that mantra. He's giving that mantra. Would you pay Would you stop chanting and pay obeisances to him?
Stop chanting.
No, carry on.
Stop
So
chanting.
Mavalavanga says
Carry
stop.
on.
Mava Sunita Priya says carry on.
No,
Anybody
carry on,
else?
and then obviously you pay your obeisances.
And anybody else would like to hedge a bet? Although we don't gamble.
Could you kind of bend your head like you're paying obeisance? But
Oh, you kind of go like this.
yeah, go like that and carry on. so
You're
much.
not paying attention to your mantra.
Yeah.
You know.
Well,
Yeah,
actually,
Chandravali.
the etiquette is you should stop chanting your Gayatri. You should stop
Oh,
and pay your
I was
obeisances,
wrong.
especially if you're, okay, if you haven't seen a guru for some time, especially if you're with him all day and you're the servant, etc. That's something else. But he's given you the mantra. By his grace, he's given you the mantra, so you should be offer all respects to him, and then you
That's
can ask his
interesting.
then you can ask his permission to again take up the Gayatri mantra.
Okay, that's interesting. Thank you,
Yeah.
Mudita.
Or he may just say, as you're paying obeisances, then he may indicate with a nod of his head, just to continue chanting your mantra. So anyway, I'm waiting for that opportunity. I've not been blessed with that opportunity to be chanting the Gayatri mantra, and my Guru Maharaj comes in and I stop and pay obeisances. But anyway, so sorry.
I'm sure the day will come, Mudita.
Yeah, sorry, Chandravali.
You know, I sent you that question about when I was on the retreat, people were chanting their
Oh
Gayatri
yeah.
3 in 1
Yeah.
go.
First time I've heard that. It's amazing how so many. I've never heard that one before. So Chandravali is mentioning that when she was in India, devotees in the morning they would chant all 3 Gayatris, just to just because they're going to be because then they don't have to worry about it for the afternoon or in the evening. They just get it done with. So that's kind of indicative of not, I would say, not perhaps the correct approach to these mantras, get them out of the way and get them done. Let them chant all 3. And then you could take it further. Someone may chant 3 days Gayatris just in 1 hour. They chant Gayatris for 4 days.
I might do that with my chanting my mantra. The day I'm free, I might chant all day and then say, right, I don't have to do for a few days now.
Yeah, so we do have to keep in mind in that regard that, as Mother Lavanga was indicating in the beginning, that Gayatri mantra traditionally is to be chanting at particular times in the day. So we should try to honor that, but it might not always be possible. Yes.
When I was working, my Guru Maharaj, he told me that I should chant 2 Gayatris in the morning because my afternoons, while I was at work, I used to work throughout. So I never used to have a specific lunch break. So it was like 2 Gayatris in the morning. But what I used to do, if I had a break in the middle, I would chant the Gayatri mantra again.
Okay. But see,
I would always chant 2 in the morning. And if I had while I was working, I had a break in the middle, I would chant another one.
Yeah. So that's an instruction that you've got from your guru. So that's fine. If the guru tells you to chant all 3 Gayatris in the morning for some reason, then you follow that. Generally, he wouldn't. It have to be exceptional circumstances. But here, Mother Kurumai has got an instruction from a guru. So she should follow that. Yeah. So that's, yeah. So anyway, this is all the subject of being attentive. We've gone on to chanting Maha Mantra and the Gayatri Mantra. But
okay, what if somebody, when they've gone through, like Nishikant goes through work, and the afternoon one is, he finds it difficult being a doctor, he never would get like a break or anything like that. So he does 2 in the evening.
Yeah, that's so I mean, as I said, our lifestyle is quite passionate. So we may not always be able to come up, it's not as if we're living in a village in South India. Our lifestyle is a lot different from a traditional Vedic setting. So you mentioned your son and his work, and we all know what hospitals can be like manic as far as being busy. So that's why when we go to the Holy Dham, we should appreciate and we should make the most of it, where we're not doing our usual, we could not passion. We're not in a, we're not in the usual passionate environment. So then at least we can try it. We should do as much as possible to chant at a regulated time. So again, I think Prabhupada was very intuitive when he said that morning, noon, and evening. If he had made a specific rule for devotees, you have to chant at a specific sandhya. I mean, I guess devotees would have followed it, but Prabhupada saw the difficulty that might be there in doing that, so he gave that instruction. But the main thing, again, the mantras, we should be attentive to everything we do in Krishna consciousness. We should endeavor to be attentive. Oh yeah, that's what I was going to say. I just remember. So we should practice being attentive as well. I don't know if any of you, sometimes with all these gadgets and these phones, and sometimes if you find you have the ability to do two things at once, you can be listening to a lecture and you can be surfing on YouTube.
No.
You might, I'm just trying to, or you may be, going here and going there, or like on the internet, or we should focus. We should try and develop good habits of being attentive. So we should be on the lookout for when we're being inattentive, because when we sit down to chant japa, then the ability to be attentive will be very hard if we're not trying to be attentive throughout the different things that we do throughout the day. Anyway, it's a challenge for all of us from wherever the mind wanders due to its flickering and steady nature. We keep trying. All right. Should we read a little bit more? Had quite a discussion there. Any other readers out there? Mother Chandravali, you have your hand up. You can read, I think, page 410.
Yes, for a change, my throat seems better.
Yeah, you sound much better. Right.
Give me a real headache. Okay. 410, right?
Yeah, just below the 4 asterisks.
A corollary of this eagerness for success is that determination also makes a devotee indifferent to or unfulfilled by anything but his goal. Dhruva Maharaj is the sterling example of a devotee who cared for nothing other than his determined goal, a planet superior to Brahma's. Even when Narad tried to discourage him, even when the demigods came to tempt him, Dhruva remained resolute. To Narad, Dhruva almost impudently replied, "O learned Brahmana, I want to occupy a position more exalted than any yet achieved within the 3 worlds by anyone, even by my fathers and grandfathers. If you will oblige, kindly advise me of an honest path to follow by which I can achieve the goal of my life." This exclusive devotion is praised by Krishna throughout the Bhagavad Gita as anaya or undeviating, and its personification, Hanumanji, is praised by Narottam Das as an ekanta bhakta or a single-minded devotee. Shri Kavi explains that such indifference to material and spiritual enticement develops in proportion to one's degree of surrender to the Lord. As one becomes more and more committed, one is enriched with detachment. Devotion direct experience of the Supreme Lord and the detachment from other things. These 3 occur simultaneously for one who has taken shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in the same way that pleasure, nourishment, and the relief from hunger come simultaneously and increasingly with each bite for a person engaged in eating. So influential is the one-pointed vision arising from a devotee's vow to reach his goal, that in the absence of its attainment, the entire world appears like a void. Devotees know well Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's feeling in this regard. I know this word you get.
Yeah. Shishastikam.
Yeah. Oh, Govinda.
Yugayatam nanashena chakshusam pransusayatam sanyayatam tikatsavam govindivarihename.
Oh, Govinda, feeling of separation, I consider a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I feel awakened in the world in your absence. The final result of Sankalpa to be mentioned is its ability to give a devotee vision of the lotus feet of the Lord. Evidence of this is given in the previously cited verse beginning with Sadharma, oh, I can't say that big word.
Yeah. Saddharma Shashabodaya, something like that.
And Vedic literature is replete with histories of great Vaishnavas who, as a result of their determination in bhakti, received darshan of Lord Krishna. Dhruva is an example of a devotee who saw the Lord as the result of his sankalpas. His mother told him that Krishna was to be found in the forest, and so the boy retired to Vrindavan and performed austerities until the Lord appeared to fulfill his desires. His first vow was to eat fruits every third day. His second vow to eat leaves every sixth day, and the third to drink water every ninth day. The fourth to inhale every 12th day.
Yeah, the fourth vow.
Yes, fourth vow. The fifth to stand on one leg, and the sixth to fix his mind exclusively on the form of the Lord. A result of these successive sankalpas was that Dhruva took control of the airflow within the universe, causing all creatures to struggle with their breathing. When the confused demigods came to the Lord for shelter, Narayan explained that their suffering was due to Dhruva's determination. The Lord said, "It is due to the severe austerities and full determination of the son of King Uttanapad, who is now fully absorbed in thought of me." The Lord assured the demigods that he would resolve this crisis, and then he kindly appeared before the boy to appease him. Srimad Bhagavatam gives further examples of Narad Muni, Kadama Muni, Maharaj Prithu, Ajamil, King Chitraketu, and Mother Diti as just some of the devotees who, with strong determination, were able to see Lord Krishna face to face. Such perfection is equally accessible to anyone with strong determination and a commitment to progressive devotional service. Krishna encourages Arjuna to be equally determined. Sa nischayena yogatya yogo
Virinna.
One should engage oneself in the practice of yoga with determination and faith and not be deviated from the path. When a devotee follows this advice of the Lord, he eventually attains the ultimate goal of going back home to Godhead. In this regard, Srimati Radharani secured from Krishna a promise that a devotee's determined sadhana will eventually lead to Krishna's personal audience and hence the perfection of life. Still, please grant this one benediction to those devotees who reside in the profound sweet land of Vrindavan and who for a long time yearn with a steady heart to someday attain you. Please, O Master of Gokul, appear before their eyes as their youthful friend. Krishna agreed to her proposal, which means that every practitioner can be assured that his determined effort will result in a personal audience with the Lord.
Okay, thank you. I thought I'd let it go to read a couple of pages there, make some progress through this chapter. But any questions or comments here?
I had more. That is that.
Dhruva Maharaj must be perhaps one of the most, a wonderful example in the Bhagavatam of someone absolutely determined to get the goal of his endeavor. So that's why Maharaj is obviously quoting Dhruva Maharaj.
His determination about like eating only leaves and what that is like a severe determination.
Yeah. And interestingly also, we see there is examples in Bhagavatams of demons who are also determined. So we think of the austerities of Hiranyakasipu. Yeah, inconceivable determination to actually get, as we know, mystic powers and material things.
You know, from this example of Dhruva, his determination was to get it. He was so focused, so determined to get a bigger place, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Bigger than Lord Brahma.
Yeah. So say not just devotees, but even material people, if they have really strong determination to do, I don't know about Krishna consciousness, but some kind of
To achieve something.
Yeah. Would they
Well,
get it? Serving?
Well, there's other factors involved as well. Can anyone say what those other factors are? Okay, you may be. Sorry?
Their karma.
Their karma.
And people around them, the circumstances.
Yeah, well, mainly the Lord, actually, Krishna, and their karma. I mean, there's so many persons who are determined to become multimillionaires or famous, etc., etc. But also, I think the 5 factors of action, where the most important factor is Krishna. So, materially speaking, you can be determined as you want, but unless you have earned the credits, i.e., your karma, then doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to achieve your goal. And actually, most people become disheartened because they have many dreams and goals in life, but it's not their karma. Yeah. And I think, as we said before, that's money. A lot of people, they get tempted or they get presented of impossible impossible goals by, for instance, watching the television or, or watching films. One has all these desires to achieve this and that, which is way beyond their karma. So that's the cause of a lot of stress and disappointment for people, because they're trying to obtain what they will never ever obtain.
Yeah,
it's just beyond their karma.
They want it now. They don't want to put in the endeavor to get it. They just want it to like instantly arrive in their lap.
Yeah, that's it.
Any sacrifice.
Yeah, they don't want to make the sacrifice. So even as devotees, like, we have determinations to for different projects that we have, but we're always dependent upon Krishna. If Krishna willing, then it will be possible for me to do this or for me to do that. Also, the devotees were always dependent upon Krishna because we recognize him as the ultimate sanctioner in all of our endeavors. Right? Any other questions or comments about this? We've got a couple of minutes, 1 minute left, 2 minutes left. Perhaps we'll just pause there for our reading today. Just want to move the bookmark before I forget. So perhaps if you like, you can read through in your own time the verses or the purports, especially the example of Dhruva Maharaj. Prabhupada gives the purports there are very wonderful, and Prabhupada speaks again and again. And one time I did a little study of this, and I was noting down the points in Prabhupada's purports where he's speaking about being determined in Krishna consciousness. So many wonderful instructions, which I can't recall right now, but I've got them there. But it's wonderful instructions that he gives on being determined, you know. So we have to, in the sanctity or in the garden of our heart, as we're engaging in activities of devotional service, and from day to day, we should be building up a fire of determination to actually obtain the grace of Krishna. Yeah, that's what we should be doing, becoming more and more eager for Krishna's grace and mercy, and more determined in our devotional life, you know. That's what Maharaj is encouraging us to do. So we have to be kind of internally active in order to attentive and internally active to obtain Krishna's grace and mercy. We shouldn't just go along, you know, haphazardly or apathetically, or, you know, I don't know, at some point I'm bound to get Krishna's mercy. No, you have to really be attentive and really desire it, you know. All right, anyway, some thoughts there on that. All right, so tomorrow we have festival, Aldan Shashti, the parents' day of Shishibha, the Londonishra. So we have a big festival tomorrow. This time tomorrow, we'll be throwing flowers everywhere. So I hope you can join us for that. Hare Krishna. So thank you everyone for joining us, and we'll be together again on Wednesday. I guess, as I said, Wednesday. I just realized what time is Pujari Sangha on Wednesday? I should know, I guess. Does anyone know what time it is?
I think 6 o'clock.
Yeah, so I'll be busy then, and some of you hopefully will come for that if you can. So our next get together and the next reading will be on Thursday. Okay. All right.
How about, are you free on Friday?
No, well, I can let you know. I am there's another one I do with one devotee on a Friday. Sometimes I can adjust it, but
You could mix with us.
Aaron, let's see on Thursday. Yeah. Okay, so thank you for joining us, and hope you.
Thank you very much for Saturday, for your
No
classes,
problem.
for lectures. Girls were very, very inspired. Now
No
we're
problem.
attacking Ananta Kripa for books, and we want to go. And thank you
Great,
so
fantastic.
much. Thank you, really.
And thank you for your gifts as well. They're very nice gifts you get. Here's the bag here. I've got the nice bag of the soaps.
Yeah, you can use it because it's organic. This is natural. Everything is
Yeah.
organic. We made soap with Gaia. This is our handmade, and from tomorrow it's going to be in the shop. We're going to sell them.
And thank you for the tea, for the Nrsingadev tea. Thank you very much. All right, let's let everyone go. Okay, thank you everyone. Go to Premanande. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. His Grace Murli Prabhu ki
I'm going to
jai.
end meeting for all. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.